In this painting, the shirtless man sitting in the middle of the road weaving baskets is Pham Ngu Lao. Meanwhile, the general riding a horse behind him, accompanied by a few dozen soldiers, is believed to be Tran Hung Dao. However, this depiction does not align with historical reality. Tran Hung Dao could not have been escorted by merely a few dozen soldiers. He would have had at least several hundred elite troops guarding him. The reason is simple. If the Mongol Yuan forces had managed to assassinate our most brilliant general, they would have conquered our land as easily as slicing through tofu. The artist who painted this scene likely did not fully understand history. Speaking of Pham Ngu Lao, he was a 17-year-old young man, tall, strong, and most notably, skilled in both literature and martial arts. He had military strategies at his fingertips, studied diligently, excelled in everything he did, and was even proficient in basket weaving. Pham Ngu Lao was a man of great ambition, harboring dreams of becoming an official to fight against invaders and defend the nation. The challenge for Pham Ngu Lao was how to meet Tran Hung Dao and express both his aspirations and talents. If he followed the conventional path, starting as a soldier, rising through the ranks from a minor official to a high-ranking one, it could take him up to 20 years, or worse, he might perish on the battlefield before earning a promotion. That is why Pham Ngu Lao decided to find a way to meet the most distinguished general directly. The only solution he could think of was to sit in the middle of the road and use his basket-weaving craft to block Tran Hung Dao's path. From a distance, Pham Ngu Lao listened carefully to the echoes of drums and gongs, knowing that Tran Hung Dao was approaching. Without hesitation, he boldly carried his basket to the middle of the road, sat down, and continued weaving, blocking the advancing troops. The guards tried to drive him away, but Pham Ngu Lao did not move an inch. Eventually, one frustrated soldier thrust a spear into his thigh. This situation is akin to someone sitting in the middle of the road in front of the Independence Palace, trying to intercept the motorcade of a national leader. If you refuse to move despite being ordered to leave, the security guards will eventually use batons or even fire a warning shot to force you out. Now, if at that moment you calmly say, "A baton is nothing, go ahead and shoot my leg if you dare," and even after getting shot, you remain unmoved, continuing to sit still, that would be an extraordinary display of fearlessness. Whether or not you get to meet the leader is uncertain, but you would certainly go viral on Facebook. Similarly, when Pham Ngu Lao remained still after being stabbed in the thigh, continuing to weave his basket without flinching, the soldiers began to feel uneasy. As skilled martial artists, they immediately recognized that this man possessed exceptional inner strength. They quickly reported to Tran Hung Dao. "A warrior is sitting ahead, unfazed despite a spear in his thigh, calmly weaving his basket." Hearing this, Tran Hung Dao stepped down from his palanquin and asked, "What do you want?" This was the moment Pham Ngu Lao had been waiting for. He expressed his dreams and ambitions to the great general. After listening, Tran Hung Dao replied, "In 3 months there will be an examination in the capital. Go take the exam. If you pass, I will appoint you as a commander." 3 months later, Pham Ngu Lao took the exam and emerged as the top scholar, excelling in both literary and martial disciplines. True to his word, Tran Hung Dao promoted him to an official position, provided further military training, and even gave him his daughter's hand in marriage. Pham Ngu Lao was entrusted with leading the imperial guards, the elite force responsible for protecting the king, the most trusted defense unit. Pham Ngu Lao became an extraordinary figure, taking part in both wars against the Mongol Yuan invasions, and playing a crucial role in the nation's glorious victories. Pham Ngu Lao was a remarkable figure in our nation's history of warfare. He fought in both resistance wars against the Mongol Yuan invaders without ever losing a single battle. When given the duty to fight the enemy, he only knew victory was never defeat. This unwavering success is what made Pham Ngu Lao extraordinary. One fascinating aspect of his story is that Tran Hung Dao wanted to marry his daughter to Pham Ngu Lao. This was quite complicated because Tran Hung Dao belonged to the Tran family, while Pham Ngu Lao was from the Pham family. According to the decree set by Grand Chancellor Tran Dynasty, members of the Tran family were only allowed to marry within their own clan to prevent outsiders from usurping the throne. To circumvent this rule, Tran Hung Dao cleverly found a loophole. He told his daughter, "Step out of the house, and from this moment on, we are no longer father and daughter." The next day, his daughter changed her surname, effectively severing her official ties to the Tran family. Once she had changed her surname, Tran Hung Dao formally adopted her as his foster daughter and then arranged for her marriage to Pham Ngu Lao, a simple yet ingenious way to bypass the law. What stands out in this story is the status of those involved. Tran Hung Dao was granted the title of Hungjiao Vuong, and his daughter was referred to as a princess. Yet, despite his noble rank, a great general was willing to bend the rules, renounce his own daughter, then adopt her again just to marry her to a mere basket weaver. So what does equality mean in this context? What standard made Tran Hung Dao willing to give his daughter's hand to Pham Ngu Lao? In truth, there was only one standard, 3 defining qualities. Exceptional intelligence. Pham Ngu Lao sat still while a spear pierced his thigh, showing no reaction, as he was deeply engrossed in military strategy books. Unyielding perseverance. He endured pain, remained steadfast in his goals, and never backed down from challenges. Patriotism. He did not seek power or wealth, but served as an official solely to help the people and the nation, driven by a profound love for his country. Anyone who possesses these 3 qualities is a truly exceptional individual, regardless of their profession. Abraham Lincoln was born into a farming family, yet he embodied these traits and became one of the greatest presidents in history. Similarly, Pham Ngu Lao, a humble basket weaver who possessed these 3 qualities, became a legendary general, so remarkable that even Tran Hung Dao was willing to offer his daughter's hand in marriage. When applying the 3 criteria, intelligence, perseverance, and virtue, to choose a life partner, take careful consideration. These are truly valuable standards, yet they are not easy to find. Instead of chasing after princes or princesses, seek someone who embodies all 3 of these precious qualities. However, for men looking for a wife, the focus can be on 2 main criteria, virtue and intelligence, while perseverance does not need to be a strict requirement. Women who possess all 3 traits, especially strong perseverance, are relatively rare. Conversely, when women seek a husband, all 3 standards are crucial. A man lacking perseverance, who is timid or easily discouraged, will struggle to fulfill his role. A husband needs to have some level of resilience to be able to weather the storm in life. A harsh reality is that when these standards are applied, the pool of potential candidates shrinks significantly. Only about 1/3 or even 1/10 of the original number remains. You might have thought you had 10 choices, but with these standards, only 2 may actually qualify. And what's more concerning is that those who meet these criteria are often already taken by others. Events, as these tend to attract like-minded individuals. You can start observing potential candidates right from simple places like the parking area or check-in counter. Arrive early, position yourself near check-in, review the participant list, and discreetly take note of those who seem promising. When they check in, casually ask a few questions about their age, profession, reasons for joining the event, and life perspectives. Through these small interactions, you can make an initial assessment and mark those who seem to fit your criteria. During the event, try to sit near them. Work together on group exercises and engage in conversations to get to know them better. At mealtimes, you can subtly position yourself next to them in the food line, creating natural opportunities for deeper interactions. With just a few encounters, you will gain meaningful insights into whether someone is a good match for you. This process is not difficult. It simply requires a proactive approach, carried out smoothly and naturally. The Tran Dynasty was truly a remarkable period in Vietnamese history, characterized by unique cultural and political traditions. One of its most distinctive features was the practice of voluntary abdication, a rare occurrence not only in Vietnam but in the entire feudal world. During the Tran era, emperors would typically abdicate around the age of 40 to 45, willingly passing the throne to their sons, who were often in their 20s. The former emperor would then assume the title of Grand Supreme Emperor. This practice ensured a smooth transfer of power, avoiding the violent power struggles that plagued many other dynasties, where kings typically held onto their thrones until death. Beyond that, after serving as Grand Supreme Emperor for some time, many Tran rulers chose to renounce worldly affairs and become monks, leading to the establishment of the famous Truc Lam Yen Tu Zen sect. This was an extraordinary phenomenon in history. Individuals who once wielded absolute power willingly gave up everything to pursue a spiritual path. Even more remarkable was the Tran emperor's approach to marriage. Unlike the common feudal practice of polygamy, many Tran rulers had very few wives, and some even took only one wife. This starkly contrasted with the norms of other dynasties, where kings often amassed large harems. It is ironic that today even wealthy commoners tend to desire multiple wives, while these powerful emperors, who had the right to take as many wives as they wished, chose a single lifelong partner and later retired into monastic life. The morality and character of such leaders were truly admirable, setting a powerful example for the entire society. Tran Hung Dao, the second most influential figure in the dynasty, was another shining example of both virtue and talent. From the highest levels of leadership to ordinary citizens, discipline and ethics were upheld. A general acts as a general, a king acts as a king, a soldier acts as a soldier, and a citizen acts as a citizen. This is why the Lai Dynasty and Tran Dynasty period is regarded as the golden age of Vietnam, spanning a remarkable 401 years. During the Tran Dynasty, alongside Pham Ngu Lao, many other exceptional talents were discovered and trained by Tran Hung Dao, eventually becoming legendary generals whose names were immortalized in history. Yet Kieu was originally just an ordinary diver. Gia Tuong was merely an elephant keeper. And Truong Han Sieu was just a young scholar composing poetry while preparing for imperial exams in the capital. However, under the discerning eye and exceptional mentorship of Tran Hung Dao, they all transformed into brilliant and fearless warriors. This demonstrates that Tran Hung Dao was not only a masterful military strategist, but also an extraordinary recruiter and mentor. Every individual he selected and trained became a legendary figure, their names etched into the national memory for thousands of years. This phenomenon is truly remarkable and worthy of admiration. Tran Hung Dao was a leader who never lost a battle, a mastermind behind unique military strategies, and the architect of an elite team of generals. After defeating foreign invaders, his contributions did not stop at warfare. He also played a crucial role in nation building, helping to shape a prosperous and powerful Vietnam. It can be said that Tran Hung Dao was an exceptionally well-rounded figure, one of a kind in history. He excelled as a civil official, was a brilliant military general, contributed to economic development, achieved victories in warfare, and trained successors of great talent. Whatever field he was involved in, he mastered it. For this reason, the people honored him with the title Duc Than Tran, Saint Tran, a recognition truly worthy of his talent and virtue. Even world history must acknowledge the remarkable nature of Tran Hung Dao, as it is exceedingly rare to find a figure so complete and accomplished. When compared to Zhuge Liang, Kongming, a strategist considered one of the greatest in Chinese history, Tran Hung Dao surpasses him in many aspects. Most of the generals under Zhuge Liang were originally recruited by Liu Bei, not Zhuge Liang himself. The only great talent he personally discovered and nurtured was Jiang Wei. In contrast, Tran Hung Dao personally identified and trained multiple outstanding generals. Moreover, despite Zhuge Liang's brilliance, he ultimately failed in his northern expeditions, whereas Tran Hung Dao successfully defeated the Mongol Yuan army 3 times the most powerful military force in the world at the time. In the list of the world's 10 greatest generals, the New Encyclopedia Britannica, Volume 10, published in 1983, Vietnam is honored to have 2 representatives, Tran Hung Dao and Vo Nguyen Giap. This is a great source of pride for a nation that, despite its small geographical size, boasts a rich history of resistance against foreign invaders. General Vo Nguyen Giap was a military genius who defeated multiple global powers in historic victories, overcoming the French, defeating the Japanese, and ultimately triumphing over the Americans. However, when compared to Tran Hung Dao, key differences emerge. General Vo Nguyen Giap did not train a clearly defined successor, a generation capable of continuing his military legacy. Additionally, he was not directly involved in rebuilding the country's economy after the war. In contrast, Tran Hung Dao was not only an exceptional general, but also an outstanding mentor, who cultivated a team of talented commanders to carry on his legacy. Furthermore, he contributed to the economic restoration of the nation after the war. This is why Tran Hung Dao's statue is considered extraordinarily rare in human history. Even when compared to Napoleon, a brilliant Western general, Tran Hung Dao still stands superior. Despite Napoleon's extraordinary talents, he ultimately met defeat, was exiled, and died on St. Helena Island. Meanwhile, Tran Hung Dao never tasted defeat in any major battle. Notably, despite possessing formidable military strength, Tran Hung Dao did not use that power to invade neighboring countries. This reflects the Buddhist philosophy he deeply embraced, never initiating aggression, only defending when attacked. With military capabilities strong enough to defeat the Mongol invaders 3 times, Tran Hung Dao had the potential to conquer the entire Southeast Asian region. However, he chose not to do so. During the Tran Dynasty, there was a highly unusual official named Mac Dinh Chi. He was famous for his unattractive appearance, but possessed an extraordinary determination to study. While learning, he would tie his long hair into a bun and suspend it from the ceiling. This method ensured that whenever he became drowsy and his head drooped, the tug on his hair would wake him up, allowing him to continue studying. Thanks to his unwavering dedication, he eventually became a Trang Nguyen, the top scholar in the imperial examination. From this story, we can learn a valuable lesson about determination in education. Rather than using extreme methods like Mac Dinh Chi, we can adopt more effective and scientifically proven learning techniques to maintain focus and enhance our studies today. After passing the imperial examination as principal graduate, Mac Dinh Chi remained humble and lived a simple life in a modest thatched house. When the Mongol Yuan dynasty demanded that Vietnam send an envoy, he volunteered for the mission. Incredibly, after several years in China, he also achieved the highest rank in their imperial examination, earning the title Top Scholar of Two Nations. Diplomatically, this was an extraordinary success, equivalent to being appointed as a modern-day Minister of Foreign Affairs. Declined, stating that he had no need for such wealth, and returned all the rewards to the king. The king attempted to reward him multiple times, but each time Mac Dinh Chi refused. A soldier by the king's side then proposed a plan. If we stop giving it directly, tonight I will throw a bag of gold into his house and see if he takes it. The king agreed to the experiment. The next morning, Mac Dinh Chi woke up to find a bag of gold in his courtyard. He picked it up and walked through the village, asking if anyone had left it behind. When no one claimed it, he took the bag to the royal treasury and returned it, saying, "I have no need for this." Someone may have misplaced it, but after asking around and finding no owner, I would like to return it to the national treasury so that the king can use it to help the people in the country. The soldier who had been watching reported back to the king. The king shook his head in admiration and said, "Truly an incorruptible official, he cannot be bribed." From this story, we not only admire Mac Dinh Chi's integrity, but also recognize something remarkable. The people of Vietnam at that time were not greedy. No one in the village claimed the bag of gold because it did not belong to them. This reflects a society with high moral and cultural values. That era was truly a golden age, with a well-structured social order where the king was a true king. Officials were true officials. Soldiers were true soldiers. And the people upheld their values. It was a golden age in culture, education, military strength, and economy. We should take pride in this heritage. It is truly disheartening to see warning signs in some places, such as in Japan, that read in Vietnamese, "Please do not steal, there are cameras here." When confronted with such signs written only in Vietnamese, without translations into Thai or Chinese, we cannot help but feel ashamed. Just one Vietnamese person committing theft can tarnish the reputation of the other 999. In Buddhism, the sense of shame and fear toward wrongdoing is called Tham Quy. It means a mind of shame and moral respect. These emotions play a crucial role in helping us stay determined not to commit wrongful acts. If we witness the misconduct of our fellow countrymen but feel no shame, we risk becoming indifferent. However, it is important to distinguish between two types of shame. Shame driven by pride and ego, which stems from attachment and self-interest, and shame that arises from recognizing wrongdoing and striving to correct it. It is the latter form of shame that holds true value and helps us improve ourselves.